can do with these. Give us a little slack here. And they have this cool point right in the top there that I can anchor the line so it won't wind out. Then I go to my nail and I hang it over the nail, and then I have a nice straight line running down my mold. And it just looks slightly off. Part of the problem is down at the, the bow section here. My mold is only, or my frame is only the 2 inches across, because I have the 2 pieces of plywood and then I have 1.5 inch 2x4. And then I come down here and I'm 3 3/4 inches because of my 2x4. So what I'm going to have to do now, come back here and measure how far out my anchor point is on the 2x4, and then measure it all the way along. I'm going to use this far side, I don't want to flip that over. Right now, as this thing sets upside down, it's going to be the right hand side, or starboard. When in fact, if we flip this whole thing over, it is technically, or actually it is the starboard side. Yeah, if we flip this over, it's the starboard side. So yeah, you actually have to flip it completely over. Basically, I'm imagining myself laying on my back sitting on this thing, or I'm laying upside down in my head to figure out that is the starboard side. So, but as you look at it right now, it's the left hand side, which is port. So anyway, so over on the left hand side, I'm going to use that as my 0 line and then measure everything out. All right, here we are measuring everything out, and we are at 3 1/4 inches. I know it doesn't look like that on the camera, but I get the camera lined up. There we go, 3 1/4 inches. All right, we go down here and don't touch the chalk line, and it comes into 3 inches there. So we got to sort this all out. Come all the way down here, we push our chalk line in, and it's at 3 1/2 inches. Now notice 2x4. They're called 2x4s, but they're actually, look at that. It's even narrow for a 2x4, because normally 2x4s are 3 1/2 inches wide. But they're cut at 4 inches, but they don't count what the saw chops off when they make a 2x4. So anyway, we're going to the outside here. It's almost 4 inches. So anyway, the middle of this thing needs to move that away over to starboard. And we go ahead and measure it, and we are setting at, I know what the problem is, I've got the camera too close. We're setting at 3 inches. So probably go to the other side to do this, because my shirt keeps hooking up with it. There we are. We are good to go. And then if you take a long look down, can see, I know it doesn't look straight, but gotta understand on each side to the right, I overlap the plywood. Oh, I didn't do a median measurement. Whoops. Therein lies our fatal flaw. This centerpiece, I didn't measure it at all. Therein lies our problem, because it is setting. It's actually setting just fine. Ooh. Here's what I'm talking about. The optical illusion is strong with this. See how I overlaid the plywood to the outside? Well, that was strength for each side of my frame in building this. But what it actually caused was this. See how each plywood piece of 2x4, excuse me, if you look here, you can actually see it step to the right. See this piece right here? That piece is actually the median I'm going off of, but I can't because it steps each time at each union. We'll go up to the next union between the bow and the midsection. See, it steps out because I overlapped it and I didn't take that into account. So now we go all the way to the stern and basically ignore everything, and we take a look at our string and we see we're pretty darn straight. Alrighty, I think we can start gluing stuff together. So I need to go prep all that. All right, wasn't planning on doing this right now, but we're gonna start working on the keel. One of the things I did a long time ago, frame myself, is made this scraper, or I don't know. Anyway, I have a bunch of extra vinyl left over from my. I have a bunch of extra vinyl I left over from my travel trailer I built, and as you can see in the notches there, this is just vinyl like you put in the bathroom wall. And what you do is you put the glue on, and then you get run this over it, and that will put a nice even coat all over, and so you're not wasting a lot of glue, because honestly we're going to squeeze this out, and as you'll see, we're going to end up wasting a lot of glue. So anyway, we're going to get on here. We have the first strip down here, and then we're going to build from there. And we're going to go, it's going to be 6 layers. They're going to be 3 base layers. These are actually I should be using crummy. These are layers that are going to be used for, they're going to be connecting layers that are going to be sanded down and used for they're going to be sanded down to make the connections with the actual hull of the boat. So the edges don't need to be that good. So these first 3 pieces we're going to use can be kind of crummy. Remember what I said earlier, I'm always going to go past that. And we're using glue here that is specifically designed to be used in liquid environments. I want to say waterproof, but something similar. And we're going to have to put a lot more glue in there than that. And this is also fun because we are working on a curved surface. The scraper is not as effective as I thought it would be, and so I'm actually laying it down flatter, not going in vertically, but laying it down almost horizontal or parallel, almost flat with the surface here as we're working along. And still getting a good coverage though. Okay, and I think that is the last time we are going to do that on a curved surface. Yeah. Because it is definitely gravity, definitely working against us. There's a bunch of glue dripping off the room there. Other thing is I did not cut an angle off of that. Alright, here's our next piece that's going to go on here. We'll match that up. Alright. We're going to grab a clamp here. Match this up. Down here. Locker. There we go. Got another clamp here. Locker in. Locker in. Clamp. Okay, just figured out something here I think is pretty valuable that I am going to share. What I was doing was I was cutting my angles, my unions, at a 45 on both pieces, and I was cutting them on the bandsaw and they were coming out crooked. Then I was getting the belt sander and trying to square them out, and then I went, wow, that's a big giant waste of time. So I thought about it and went, you know, I have the perfect tool to do this a lot smarter. So I started overlapping these, and then I used my Japanese furniture saw, and this is something that came out of Japan. I don't know actually how long they have had this. As a tool, but now what that does is that creates a union along the same exact width, and it is only the width of the blade. Now, when the bladesmiths of Japan, after the Meiji Restoration, I'm actually going to go ahead and take the camera out here, show how precise that is. But during Meiji Restoration, which began in the 1860s, same time the American Civil War is going on, Japan goes through this cultural revolution. The samurai are pushed aside by economics. Emperor Meiji is trying to modernize Japan and bring it out of the feudal state. And he's the shogun, or no, he's not the shogun. He's trying to get the shogun, usurp the power of the shogun through economics, and remove the power of the shogun and the samurai and get them out of the feudal state that they've been in. And it's the end of the Tokugawa era, and there's been relative peace since the 1600s. Tokugawa have established peace throughout Japan for the most part, but the U.S. Black Fleet sails into Tokyo Harbor, and actually I think they shelled them at one time and said, you're going to open up to trading. And they realize swords and arrows and their primitive matchlock rifles are no match for the U.S. military at the time. So Emperor Meiji realizes we got to modernize. And so he changes everything. So anyway, the point being, guys making samurai swords can't make samurai swords anymore. And they take this highly developed artwork of making swords and they start making tools. And so we end up with these amazing tools, incredible planes, for like planing wood planing tools. Things like the Japanese furniture saw, which I believe has been around longer than that, but the quality of the Japanese tools just becomes incredible. And so we end up with things like this, and which give us the ability to do quality unions like this. I'm just building a boat out of, ironically, this is bamboo plywood that I'm using, and I'm able to make these very precise unions like this now, and I'll be able to run glue through here and make all these unions. And because I have this union, as opposed to just butting them up at a 90, I have this union, and it'll make it a lot stronger through here, because I'll run a solid sheet over the top of this and each of the unions over all the interwoven pieces, and it'll be much stronger than just butting them up at a 90 degree. So there we go. I wanted to share that.